Numerous people have claimed that I've been hiding where I stand theologically and what perspective I'm coming from on this channel, which has been somewhat comical since I very consciously chose to be upfront about this in the very first few videos because I know people like to know those sorts of things. But let's consider this Canon Creed unfiltered, and I'm going to lay out 7 of my most controversial takes, things that typically get me into hot water. That way they will be out there from the start. Yup, I'm Reformed. So let's start here. 2 points on this. Firstly, yes, I am confessionally Reformed. Not vaguely Reformed-ish, not sort of, kind of. No, I'm confessionally so, and unashamedly at that. I'm not a tulip bro or a pop Calvinist or what's called New Calvinism, thinking John MacArthur, John Piper, those sorts of things. I am rooted in historic confessional Reformed theology. This should be obvious from the introductory videos, but apparently some folks think I'm hiding it, so there we go. Spoiler, I'm not. And if you came here from Answering Adventism, you'll know this. I've logged hundreds of hours of content that engages directly from the Reformed tradition. But secondly, with that being said, Canon Creed is not exclusively a Reformed theology channel. It's reformational, and that distinction matters. You're going to see me cite Chemnitz, Vermilier, Spurgeon, Adam Clarke, John Davenant, and others across the spectrum. That includes people like Thomas Aquinas and other brilliant minds in the great tradition, because I care about what unites Protestants historically, not just what divides us systematically. So yes, I'm Reformed personally, but I'm also committed to helping Protestants and evangelicals to think beyond their silos and not settle into an echo chamber. Yes, Roman Catholics and the Orthodox are Christians. And this is the part where some of you grab your theological pitchforks and hit unsubscribe. Sorry, not sorry. I hold to the historic reformational distinction that the Roman Catholic and Orthodox systems are flawed, and deeply so, but that doesn't mean that every individual within them is damned. The Reformers distinguished between the corrupt institutions and the lay people within them, who may yet cling to Christ in spite of the systems that they are a part of. And this is the identical posture I took over at Answering Adventism with Seventh-day Adventists. I'm very consistent in this regard. Will I unpack this more fully in the future? Absolutely. But make no mistake, this is not compromise, it is a theological clarity that's rooted in the reformational tradition itself. I tend to be offensive to everybody. Now, I don't aim for controversy, but I'm also not afraid of it either. Some of you are used to watching content that only critiques the other side. That's not what I will be doing here. If something needs called out within my own lane, I'll call it out. If evangelicalism veers off course, I'll say it. If Roman Catholicism or Orthodoxy presents errors, I'll address those too. I'm an equal opportunity critiquer when we're talking about discussing truth. I'm not here to affirm your tribe or my own tribe. I'm here to tell the truth as best as I understand it. That means sometimes you'll cheer and other times you'll squirm. And that's by design. Nope, Sola Fide is not the gospel. And before you unload your pistol clip down in the comments, let me explain. I affirm justification by faith alone unashamedly, but the phrase sola fide is not a stand-in for the gospel itself. Christ is the gospel, his person and work. Belief in sola fide isn't what saves you. Living faith in Jesus is what saves you. A person may misunderstand justification and still possess a living, trusting faith in the true Christ and be saved. That's not downplaying sola fide, it's putting it in its proper place, seeking clarity. When we reduce the gospel to formulas instead of the living Savior that they point to, what happens is we make doctrinal precision the litmus test for salvation, not living faith itself. More to come on this, but for now, sola fide is true, I'll defend it, but it's not the gospel itself. Christ is. Yes, I can be a firebrand. Sometimes. And this isn't news to anyone who watched Answering Adventism. Yes, I get passionate, I press hard, I speak plainly. That's not going away. Will it be a bit more tampered on this channel? Sure, different audience, different scope. But I'm not going to neuter my convictions just to be liked by people on the internet. If a more confrontational tone puts you off, no hard feelings, but I'm not going to change my wiring to make YouTube commenters happy. Because YouTube critics are not my compass. So you will never win playing the approval game on the internet. I learned this years ago. There's always going to be people who mishear, misunderstand, or misrepresent. This is sort of baked into the system. Constructive critique is always welcome, but the tribal gatekeepers, anonymous nitpickers, and the gotcha theologians, not interested. I'm going to keep doing what I do, saying what I believe, and letting the chips fall where they may. What the comment critics often do not realize is that some of us actually take our content very seriously. We put hours of thought, prep, and structure into what you watch for 7 or 8 minutes. And yes, that includes road mapping. Will some of the videos go deeper on this channel and get into the really nitpicky, gritty sort of apologetic stuff? Of course. But not every piece of content is going to be written to or for the debate me bro crowd. The average evangelical in the pew is not a scholastic Thomist. They're not looking to spar over metaphysics. They're looking for clarity, direction, and depth that they can actually absorb. This channel won't be a non-stop stream of doctoral-level dissertations and scholasticism, as much as I love that stuff. We're building progressively here. You don't open the conversation by jumping into supralapsarianism versus infralapsarianism or Aristotelian taxonomies. You build to that strategically. I've learned that if you want to communicate theology well, you don't start at the summit, and you don't climb Everest with first-time hikers. So no, I'm not going to shape my content for the armchair contrarians who are just looking for something to dunk on. I'm going to stick to my roadmap, but meaningful feedback, always welcome. Thoughtful input, always taken into account. This channel has a trajectory, so if you are here for the ride, great. But the comment section, not the steering wheel. I have very little patience for slogans and sound bites. And let me explain. I'll be glad to engage with people in the comments, but I'll be honest, if all you've got is the sort of your church started in 1517, baptizing babies isn't biblical, don't expect engagement from me, okay? These sound great inside the echo chamber, but they don't hold up in the public marketplace of ideas. I'm not new to this. I'm not uninformed. I hang out in the online theological world, and I have for years. Okay? Those of you that are in that world, you understand what I mean. You know all the talking points from all the different traditions and all the claims. I dealt with all the same stuff at Answering Adventism with Seventh-day Adventists. They have their own one true churcher claims that they just dogmatically assert and throw out there, and you're just supposed to believe because they said it really forcefully. Yeah, we've heard it all. We've heard all that. I'm not interested in engaging at that level, and if you're going to try and convert me to your tradition, God bless you. I welcome your attempts. But you're not going to be able to use these sort of caricatures and just pop slop claims. It's not going to happen. In other words, I've done my homework. And in doing so, you encounter all of these different claims from the various Christian traditions out there. I wouldn't be in this space and active in a public way like this if this were not the case. Now, does this mean I know everything? Absolutely not. Quite the opposite. It means I've read and studied enough to know just how much there is to learn, and that's exactly why many of these drive-by objections, they just fall flat, because most of the time the issues are far more complex than people want to admit. I love a good theological back and forth. I welcome robust disagreement, but I'm not here to wade through sloganeering, caricatures, and theological mudslinging. If you want a real conversation, bring more than a meme. So I hope this clears the air early on. I'm genuinely excited for where this channel is headed. Canon Creed is not here to blend in. It's not going to be a carbon copy of anything else that I've seen out there. And I think that this will be made seen in time. I'm sure that I'll ruffle some feathers along the way. You might think some of my takes are hot garbage. Fair enough. But what you won't be able to say is that I've been unclear, that I'm hiding the ball. You're going to know where I stand, what I believe, and where my convictions lie. And I think that this is something that's needed right now. I am unashamedly a Protestant, and I believe that that is worth affirming, upholding, and defending. That's the heart behind this channel, especially by doing primarily inward-facing apologetics for my own side of the aisle, and building up the average evangelical and Protestant with confidence in where they call home. That audience has been overlooked for too long and made to feel like we are some sort of discount version of Christianity. Well, I hope to change that. That's the goal anyways. God bless.